This girl is larger than life, and she's here in studio today.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movie.
All right, you guys, welcome on in to The Pointe with Kristyn Burtt. Did you guys like the Backstreet Boys reference? I thought I was really clever there, but I am so excited to have this gal here because we've tried, I think, probably 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 months. I don't know, it's been a while. We've tried to get a date together. We coordinated it. You guys will remember her from season 12 of So You Think You Can Dance. You'll never forget that robot dance.
Oh my
Hailee
gosh.
Payne, come on. Hi. That was so good. I feel like when you and Virgil did that week, everyone was like, oh, we're paying attention. We're here.
Yeah, I feel like that was our moment to finally be like, okay, this is the competition. We're ready to go.
We're showing up.
Yeah.
Do you remember what week that was?
I think it was week 3 because the week before I had a scary salsa where I was like, oh gosh, I might be going home.
You just never know on that show.
No, you never know.
Although I sometimes I do, you do know, only because Nigel will make these little references. If you guys listen subtly on the judging panel, we've talked about it before. He kind of lets you know, like, it's going to be your time.
Yeah.
Not this week, but probably next week. But he doesn't literally say that. But there's just little key words that you hear.
You can totally kind of pick up the vibe. It's funny. I mean, going into the finale episode, Virgil and I, once we got our critiques back, we were like, all right, this is Yaya and Gabby's show, but it was okay. We were so happy just to be there anyway. We were like, oh, yes, we did it.
You made it through every show, and I always think
Yeah.
that is the win. Like, you never went home.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that for sure was the win for me because I went on to that season of So You Think, because I had auditioned 3 times, and I was like, okay, this is the last time. Let's see what happens. And, when I got to the top 20, I was like, this is it. I could go home next week and I would be okay. I mean, of course I wanted to stay. So for me to make it all the way to the end was just like
It's a dream.
I didn't even I did not even think that was going to happen.
Can we talk about those 3 auditions? Because
Yeah.
I think sometimes people just make it on their first try and it just seems so easy. It's not easy. We know that. But you auditioned for 10, 11, and 12, correct?
Yep.
So what happened with season 10 when you auditioned?
Season 10, I think for me, what happened is I was just 18 and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I literally had purple in my bangs. I had a checkerboard shaved in the side of my head. My hair was long. Like, I was kind of a hot mess. I was like,
I love this, though.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. Like, I remember so vividly my first, Vegas experience was Kat. I had an interview with Kat and she said, can I touch your hair? Like, right where it was shaved. And I was like, of course. But I think just season 10, I think I was just young because I got cut in ballroom round and I was like, oh my gosh, my life's over. And then I was like, wait, give me a second. So, 10, it wasn't the right time. I just wasn't prepared. I needed, a little bit more time to grow.
A little more seasoning, as they
Yes.
like to say. When you go back to the studio with a year like that, I mean, did you go back and go, you're in Utah. There's a lot of ballroom dancers there.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
No lack of that. So you can get some great training there.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what I did. I kind of just got back in the studio as training. And at the time, I was doing Odyssey Dance Theater as well. So I was on a professional company. I was doing ballet every day. I was doing tap. So I was really just training myself to get ready for that next season. I was like, okay, this is it. Now I'm going to go back with a fire and, see what happens. So
And then you go back for 11. And I remember your audition. It's out there on YouTube if you guys want to see
is.
it. It's cute as a button. You were so excited.
Oh, I was so excited.
Haley was like, I'm here. Oh my gosh.
I mean, but that's just me all the time. I'm just like,
so great though.
yeah, it was fun. I went back season 11, and you know what? They did show my audition, which was super fun. And most people remember the apple bite because I literally was like, right to the camera and everyone was like, what? So, but season 11 went well. I mean, again, it was just the fact that it's a TV show. I wasn't what they were looking for that season because I made it right to the Green Mile, was cut right before the live show. So
Did they send you in with someone? Sometimes they send you in with someone. Sometimes they let you know separately. Do you remember?
I think they sent us in separately that time.
Okay.
So we went in one at a time, and then of course they were like, you know what, just not this year. Please come back. And I was like, it actually was hard coming back for season 12 just because you get so close. Mm-hmm. And it's more of a mental game than anything. It doesn't hurt your body as much. It's more of like your brain. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. Like, you just kind of go through that process. So for when they did announce season 12, I was just like,
Maybe.
I don't know, maybe not. I'm like, I kind of did it. I don't know what they want, what else they want. And of course, my dance teacher, Mandy, and my mom, they're literally my mom's, was like, you need to go. What do you have to lose? And I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Like, it's an opportunity. And now I run with that. I do that out here in LA now too. I look at an audition and I'm like, you know what? This may not be for me, but I'm going to go anyway because it's exposure and a way to get yourself in front of the people you need to get in front of. So season 12, I was hesitant, but I went in, and then once I was there, I was like, no, this is happening. This is my year. Third time's the charm. So.
And your studio's Infinity. Yes.
Yep, Infinity Dance in Utah. And I'm like,
yeah, well, we got to give a shout out to the people that help get you there, because that's super important.
Yeah.
Because you need that guidance, because otherwise it's just
oh my
it's
gosh,
so hard.
I would be lost without Mandy and everyone at Infinity Dance. Like, they're my family. Even when I go home now, Mandy's like, do you want to come into the studio? And I was like, I was planning on it. Like, gonna be
like, I'm
there.
already there. Do you see me? I'm at the door.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, Kristen McQuaid, who helped me a lot with all of my solos. Like, those are my three mamas. I have my real mama, my dance mama, Mandy, and then my dance mama, Kristen. Like, they are my ones. I'm like, ooh, without them, I'd be lost.
Yeah, and that's so important. Had Infinity had any other students make it to So You Think You Can Dance?
Yeah, they did, actually. Melise Miller was from our
Of
studio.
course.
So
season 10.
Yep, season 10. So Melise was there. And then, you know what, my best friend, Amber Williams, she was featured on the show as well, just as like one of the solos they show. She never actually got on the show, but she is just...
Amazing dancer.
Oh my gosh, my inspiration. Like, when I was growing up dancing with her, I was like, I want to be you. Like, she was like,
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Was there someone on So You Think that growing up you always idolized? Was there one dancer?
Gosh, yes, Allison Holker. I mean, like...
I think she's like the standard, the gold standard for so many people.
I mean, just the way she captivates an audience and holds them in her grasp literally while she's on stage. I'm just like, that's amazing that you can do that with your body. And that's why but like, I love performing so much, because I get to tell a story and make people feel something that they didn't know they were going to feel. Or like, if I want to portray happiness, I can show that. Like, that's what I love about dance, and that's what I love about Allison, and that's why I'm so inspired by her, is because she literally just draws you in.
She's still dancing as,
oh my gosh,
if not better, actually. I felt like last season I was like, there we go.
Seriously, I'm like,
you don't have to peak at 20, 21. Like,
no, and that's like, I aspire to be just like her. I'm like, okay, I want to be like you. I want to still be dancing. Like, she has 2 kids. I'm like, yes, you
beautiful
are goals.
family.
Oh,
hello,
my gosh.
Twitch. And yeah, and little Maddox and her daughter Wesley, they're really
So cute.
great ambassadors for dance. Have you worked with Allison in any capacity?
You know what? I've assisted with her in a couple of classes. But every time our paths try and cross, we always just have different things going on. But I've taken a lot of class with her, and then of course we both grew up in Utah, so we're always running into each other. But man, I love that family. Just amazing.
I know. I think everyone does. I don't think anyone has a bad word to say.
No.
I've never heard a bad word, honestly. I hear everything too. Never heard a bad word.
That's
Be honest.
amazing.
It's in this town, it's incredible,
Yeah.
because they really are incredible people. They are exactly what you see is exactly what you get. Warm, kind-hearted, and talented. So, how was when you're in season 12 and you go to Vegas, or did you come to LA on this one?
Oh,
I feel like
actually,
it was
I
LA?
think we were in Vegas.
You were in
'cause it
Vegas
went-
for that one.
10 was in Vegas, 11 was in LA, and then 12 was back in
To Vegas. And then the kids, they were like, we're not doing
Yeah,
Vegas.
nope.
We can't take you guys to
Yikes.
Vegas. Yeah, it's been in LA ever since, I think. So what was Vegas week like for you?
Oh my gosh, Vegas week was crazy, per usual. I'm like, what's happening? You think you know what's going to happen, and then they just throw that curveball at you, and you're like, oh my gosh. And especially because we were the street versus stage. So we went in, and because I had already been to Vegas week twice, and I was like, oh, I kind of know what's going to happen. And then they separated us. Like, we didn't even see the street people at all. And then we were just doing like stage styles, which I was super sad about, because I was like, oh my gosh, I do really well in hip hop. I would prefer to show them that.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people don't realize, they usually kick off the week with nappy tabs, and it weeds out a lot of people very quickly.
It's like this. So for us not to do that, and I think we actually started with contemporary with Travis. I was like, oh,
we're starting up here.
I was like, oh, okay. But Vegas week, actually, you know what? I'm pretty cool under pressure. I try and like keep it calm, even though inside it's like, But it went obviously well. I think the hardest part, of course, is that dreaded group round. I mean, we seriously were up all night. I mean, thankfully it was me, Gabby, Jim, another girl, Natalie, and then I want to say Dennis, who was a ballroom dancer. I mean, our group was like...
Oh, Dennis, he's in DNA.
Yes.
He's going to be on World of Dance season 2 again this season.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great. And the winner of So You Think You Can Dance Canada, by the way, in 2010.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he's really good.
So, our group was awesome, but still, we were up all night because we, of course, were like, let's perfect this. Let's make this the one that's going to be like the group of the day. So I literally only got an hour of sleep, and then we went right into Sonia right after that. No. Oh my gosh, it was...
That's brutal.
It was brutal. I remember this. I called my mom after I got through jazz round with Sonia. I'm bawling, and she's like, "Oh no, Hailee, you got cut." And I was like, "No, Mom, I made it through. I'm just so tired." Like, it was a mess, but I mean,
There's
in
nothing
the best
bad.
way.
There's nothing better than a good tired cry. It's actually a good release.
Oh, I felt so much better after that, but I conked out. I literally was like, "Good night, bye everyone."
I don't need to socialize.
Yeah, no.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
You make it to Green Mile. They do a version of Green
Yeah.
Mile, I'm assuming, and you finally make it on the show. What is that moment like for you? Finally.
It was disbelief. I honestly didn't believe it. I was like, "You guys are pulling my leg." And they're like, No. Like, you're really going to be on the show. And I was like, no. No. And then, you know what? Started getting all the emails, and they're like, "Hey, this is when it's happening." And I was like, oh my gosh, like, it almost doesn't set in until you're actually there. When I finally got to know the apartments we were staying at, I was like, okay, we're doing this. This is happening.
This is really happening.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I found in talking with different So You Think contestants or finalists, all of you guys, it's been amazing. Some people go home and don't train at all. Some people go nuts and go training. What did you do?
Let me see. I'm trying to even like remember. I can barely remember what I had for breakfast.
Yes.
I'm like, ugh. But I'm sure I kept dancing. I kept training because I literally can't go a day without dancing. I lose my mind. I'm always in class, always like, even if it's just in my living room, sometimes I'll dim my lights down and just put on some music, and I'm like, okay, just need to vibe. And then my roommates will come home and they'll be like,
What's going on?
"What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm just dancing."
You need to channel all your energy, I think. You're just one of those people. You're very high energy. You're probably, I live up here too.
Yep.
And I find that it takes a lot sometimes to come down. And so you need to do something, even if it's just like a massive walk around the block, like vigorously. You got to just channel your energy.
I gotta get this craziness out somehow. So,
Shake it off.
Yeah, always dancing. So once I found out, I was like, okay, get back in the studio. I think I really focused on ballroom, and then we didn't hardly do any ballroom on this
Barely
season.
any that season.
And I was so sad. I was so looking forward to that because my dream is to be a ballroom dancer, honestly. Like, I just need to get into classes. I'm just like obviously trying to balance so many things, but I think it's one of the most beautiful like dance styles. I'm just like,
And you can compete a very long time, too. I don't think people realize, like,
Yeah.
there are people in their 50s, 60s, 70s still
Still
competing.
competing.
They really enjoy it.
yeah, so I was definitely training and just preparing for that first live show. Whew.
How did it feel? Because, you know, season 12 had that stage versus street
Yeah.
concept that they probably won't do again.
Yeah.
However, I feel like it introduced a lot of different types of street dancers to America, which I thought was really important. And we heard a lot of feedback from viewers like, I've been looking for someone that looked like
Yeah,
me, and that
totally.
hasn't happened. And so I think that was a great thing.
Absolutely.
I missed Mary that season. I'll be super honest.
I know.
But there's no ballroom there, so you know.
Yeah.
But it's she was always an energy that I just love.
I
having
mean,
her.
right. She's just that high energy that the show
She's got a lot of
always
heart.
has.
She wears it
Yeah.
on her sleeve. Like she's needed on the panel.
Yeah.
And you guys had Travis and Twitch as mentors.
Yes.
So you guys obviously had Travis.
Oh my gosh, yeah, which was the coolest thing because obviously he's like the choreographer that you want to like, that the contemporary choreographer you want to be with. Like that is just to be able to train under him and always have him coming in and like checking in and being like, are you guys okay? Like this is what you need to work on. It was just cool to have that extra set of eyes, so to say, instead of just going into the live show kind of blind. So, and it was cool that it created a whole team concept because we really got close as team stage. Like it was just like
Yeah.
a very communal
experience.
Yeah, there you go.
For sure.
And so it was fun to experience that and like go through it as a team, but also still competing for yourself. So it was a good like balance for me. I really enjoyed it.
That's good because it was one of those things. I think the show was figuring it out as they went along. Yeah. Did you guys feel that a little bit?
We totally did. We totally felt the guinea pig effect. We were like, oh, well, because they were like doing duos and trios, and I was like, oh, I just want to be with like a one partner kind of situation like they always do. So it was interesting, but it was great for us because we had to learn how to adapt and train and perform with other people and connect. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. Connect with other people instead of just connecting with one partner for the whole season. So it was good for performance quality, especially for me, just to be like, okay, I need to connect with you on so many different levels.
And I think they had a really good variety of choreographers that year. Like they really brought in Phoenix and Farside quite a bit, which of course did your robot dance. If we can throw up that robot photo, I know it's there somewhere. There it is. I watched this again and I was like, gosh, there's always going to be routines that'll stand the test of time, and that is definitely one of them.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes. I mean, I remember talking about it too because I was doing the after show here, and we would be like, oh my gosh, this was so good.
So crazy.
And Virgil, like, whose idea was it to stay in character with Kat?
You know what? It was kind of both of our ideas. We didn't really know that we were going to do that, but during the dress rehearsal, we kind of just like walked up to her and we were kind of just like messing around, like, because that's me and Virgil. We just don't really pay attention.
I love him too.
Oh my gosh, love him. So we were just kind of like doing it, and we got off stage, and Travis and Twitch and Jeff all came backstage, and they're like, you have to do that during the live show. And we're like, oh, okay. So it kind of was both of our ideas, and we just had no idea how far it was going to go. Like my light going out, like it just was the perfect setup. Like we had no idea. Like that was going to be the end result.
Yeah, and so her light goes off, and the best part is that Virgil light goes, and like it's like a tap light, and you just tap it, and it goes back on, which was amazing. That is still on YouTube.
Yep.
It's the whomever recorded it. Don't like alert YouTube to it because it's not an official Fox one, but listen, it's so good, and you have to watch like how it all plays out because it's great.
Yeah,
and the judges loved it too, and I just think that it's 10 years from now, and I think like Nigel said something like when we do like the 25th anniversary of So You Think This Is the One
we're gonna be back, and we're gonna be like,
you're gonna be like, this is real, actually.
Oh my gosh, totally, because our bodies have been through it now. So it's like,
Is Virgil still in New York? I think he went back to New York.
I think he is. Yeah, I think he's still in New York. I'll communicate with him every once in a while via social media, and it looks like he's doing so well. He's still battling, and he's still the coolest dude ever.
His name pops up on some Broadway stuff too.
Yeah.
So he's definitely in the mix. I always see it every once in a while. I'm like, oh, that's so good.
So cool.
The other piece that I pulled a photo from, you and Robert Roldan, because come on. Let's talk about that one. And the Golden Boys choreographed this.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Nick and RJ. We love Nick and RJ. How nervous were you to work with Robert? Because I got to tell you, that guy gets better looking with age, like every year. I saw him at LA auditions, and I was like, how is that
Freaking
possible?
Robert. I'm like, where do you come from? And what planet? And how do I get one of you? I'm like, all right.
I know. Beautiful dancer, too.
Oh my gosh. And just the most genuine person ever. But you know what? I was super excited to work with Robert just because, during the weeks you get to know the All-Stars because they're all backstage. And so when I found out I had Robert, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm super excited. And me and Gabby joked because I think I had Marco the week before, and then we just like switched. She's like, oh, now you get my partner. So, but when they told me the concept, I was like, you're joking.
You're like, this is awesome.
I was like, I'm so giddy. I mean, because I was super excited. I was like, Angel of Darkness. I was like, that's totally up my alley. I love playing dark characters. And then they kept like, they're like, you're going to suck his soul out. And I was like, okay, cool. And then it got to like the very end, and they're like, okay, no, like this is really where it's going to happen. And I was like,
you're like, I kiss him?
I was like, you want me to kiss Robert? Oh,
you're like, okay.
And then, it was just funny. Every time we did it, just laughed, and I laughed and laughed and laughed. And then one of the times we did it, because I think for the finale, I redid this routine. He got up and he had lipstick all over him, and I was just like, oh. So it was just funny every
The
time.
package for that one's really cute,
too.
too.
Oh, my gosh.
Because they're like, Hailee, like, I think it was Nick or something. He was like, literally like, she can't stop giggling.
Oh, I
mean, I would be too, honestly.
I was on the giggle train. I could not figure it out. I was like, oh.
and the envy of like every person in America.
Oh
Come
my
on,
gosh.
men and women. I have to be
Yeah,
honest.
I
He's
mean,
dreamy to everyone.
The amount of comments, because I posted the picture of us kissing because I was like, everyone will love this.
Yeah, you're like,
the comments I got, everyone was like, ah. And then of course my boyfriend, I'm like, hey, it's just a stage kiss. Like,
Totally
don't
fine.
worry about it.
I'm not running off with Robert. Don't worry.
Right. So I had to, he was like, it's okay, I get it. And I was like, are you sure?
Was he in studio that week?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
He was actually at home, but I had to text him and I was like, hey,
Just so you know.
just so you know, this is happening. And he was like, okay. I was like,
You're like, don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
don't
Don't worry.
worry.
It's all for show.
Yes.
Are there any numbers in that season that you absolutely love that were kind of your favorite?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I loved every routine in a different way and like for a different reason, but I feel like one of the ones that really like I loved to do was my Jazz with Ray Leeper for finale with Marco, because he got the song cleared from Janet, which was so cool because it literally happened last minute. He's like, we got the song cleared today. And of course that's one of my favorite Janet songs, and I was doing my favorite style of dance jazz. So
Which Janet song was it again?
I could dance all night, ba-na-na-na-na-na-na, wow, wow. But yeah.
Shazam that,
Oh
everyone.
my gosh,
who's
yeah,
listening
my
to the podcast.
singing is beautiful. But it was so fun because jazz isn't as appreciated as much as it used to be.
We talk about this on the show all the
All the
time.
time.
I've talked about it with like Derek. I've talked about it with Kevin Fry, and I'm literally like, what are we going to do to have a jazz renaissance?
I know.
And it doesn't have to be the classic like jazz split, spin on the floor and roll up,
No.
which is kind of awesome still.
I mean, I love it.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, I feel like, and there are choreographers out there doing it, but it just hasn't like latched on the way.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's ripe and it's ready and it should happen.
I know. I mean, because that's what like I grew up doing. Foundation, I would do pas de bourrées across the floor. I would do all of that, like travel steps. Progressions. And you know what? Even as I'm teaching now, because I teach jazz on a dance convention, I try and keep that classic jazz alive. I mean, I put my own little twist on it, but I try and keep that jazz alive. And what I'm noticing is kids nowadays, since they do contemporary most of the time and everything's so drawn out, they don't know how to hit accents. They don't know how to use their feet. They don't know how to travel. It's very bizarre to me because that's what I grew up doing. So I actually struggle more with the contemporary side of things because I want to hit everything so hard. So it blows my mind that people can't hit hard anymore. Like it just is so.
That's really
Because
interesting.
these kids, I mean, man, these kids, they're gonna
So
steal
good.
all of my jobs, but they can't do jazz, and it blows my mind because when you go to an audition, 1 out of every 20, no, I'm gonna say 1 out of every 100 audition is a contemporary audition. Like I've been living in LA for 2 years. I've been to maybe 3 contemporary auditions. So it's like. You need to train in what's working, especially if you want to become a professional dancer.
And out here in LA, for sure, it's hip hop, and then it's kind of a jazz. I would say a jazz
Jazz funk,
fusion,
yeah.
jazz funk, jazz fusion, which is kind of happening out here. But that's pretty interesting because if you do, you have to. If you want to go into concert dance, there is plenty of
absolutely. There's
contemporary.
plenty of that.
But commercial wise, there's not.
And that's what kids want to do. They're like, well, I want to do this. I want to be in Disney. And I'm like, okay, well, then you have to learn how to do jazz.
Yes.
Just hit a clean line and hold it. Like,
Well,
it's
and
very
Chris Scott
interesting.
is the one. It's Chris Scott and Jeffrey Hornaday. They're doing a lot of the Disney movie musicals, and that's not contemporary.
No, it's not. And so it's very interesting. But yeah, so that for sure was one of my favorites, even though it wasn't as well acclaimed from the judges. That was one of my favorites to do because it was just jazz. And Ray was like, this is your dance. And I was like, thank you. So that was for sure one I enjoyed. And then I actually loved doing the ghost piece that Travis did.
Yes.
Which was just because that was another challenge in itself. And I loved the concepts. And it's so funny because now every time I see a ghost light, I'm like, da-na-na. Like I start doing the choreography.
That was a great group piece, obviously nominated for an Emmy. And I think what was great about it too is that when you guys did it on tour, you guys had to adapt and make it a little bit different, but it really worked too in the space. I think you guys came in through the audience. if I
Yeah, we
remember.
came in through the audience and we got right up with the audience, which was really cool because that breaks that boundary of just being on the stage. Like we were really up in their faces, which was super fun. Again, I love playing characters, so I was just like evil ghost and getting in everyone's face. I was like,
You're like, got it. Love
yeah.
it. I know. And actually, I should say it was Emmy winning because Travis won.
Oh, did
I believe so.
he
He's
won,
won 2
right?
years in a row, I believe. If I'm correct, I think, yeah.
I mean, that makes sense to
I
me.
know. He's got 2 Emmys. I know for sure he won last year. So for season 13.
Right.
Yes. But that Ghostlight piece was really, really
Yeah.
good too. You know, and that's how was tour for you guys? Because I went and saw it in Columbus, Ohio, which is so random.
Oh my gosh, right.
Yes.
Right.
I had Alexia here and I was like, a couple, now it's probably like 4 or 5 months ago, but I was like, it was so random.
Yeah.
Dance Network happened to be in Columbus and I was out there with them.
remember that.
And we were like, the So You Think tour is in town. And so we like totally ambushed. This is funny. We ambushed at the lobby and we were like, we want to come interview people. And they actually let us in.
Love.
Yeah. I mean, who else is going to be randomly bringing a camera and a
No one.
with Dance Network? We're so dangerous. You
Right,
know, I mean,
right.
But that was really fun to be able to see the tour in a different city. I always see it in
Yeah.
LA. And everyone, when you see it in LA, everyone is like super amped up because
Oh,
they know
yeah.
their agents in the audience.
Everyone's there. Jeff's there.
Jeff's
You're like,
there.
oh,
yeah.
okay.
Nigel's there. Yeah, you gotta impress Jeff Thacker, of course. So I always know what an LA show is like, but it's
Yeah.
interesting to see what a different city looks like when
Yeah.
you're in, smack dab in the middle of the tour.
Right.
And you guys did 70 cities or something?
Yeah, 70. Whew. It was a long tour, but what was really cool about that experience, at least for me, is that's what really solidified what I wanted to do. I want to be on tour. I want to be doing that all of the time because a lot of people were like, I will never do this again. It's not for me. I don't like it. And I was like, oh, I like this. I want to be doing this. So that's what was cool for me is like, that was like it. I was like, okay. Tours it is. We're going to do our very best. We're going to go out there and do it. But yeah, it was so fun. Like, I mean, we just got to perform for an audience that came to see us as dancers instead of going to see an artist and we're just behind that artist. So it was really cool to experience like people wanting to see you dance. It was a dance show, not a music show. So it was cool.
But also, you guys are rock stars because this is, and you know what? Next week, guys. By the way, I have 2 Haileys back to back. I have Hailee Herbert next week, but we pre-taped it, so because I won't be in town next week. But it was interesting. She said the same thing. It's just like you're out there and you're rock stars, and everyone's there to
Yeah.
see you.
Yeah.
which is super fascinating because it's very rare that will happen again like that because you are
Yes.
supporting an artist in most situations.
Most of the time, yeah. Most of the time, dancers were always supporting something, even if it's selling toothpaste. You're selling the toothpaste. So, yeah, it was really cool. And then, of course, my favorite moment of the night was when me and Virgil would come out and do robots because they would see the light on, like, the board. We had, like, these vision boards that would show projections, and they would see the light, and the music would start playing, and that was just the coolest moment. We would come out and be like, it was so
like,
fun.
we're ready.
I know. It was so fun. Oh.
I love, and you guys just do. If anyone has not seen a So You Think tour, go.
Yes, you
Go
need
for
to.
season 15 because Mandy Moore is genius in what she, yes, we're like, yes. I just spit everywhere too, getting so
yes.
excited about it. But here's the thing. She's genius with the transition. So like
Yes.
one number that you've seen will then transition it into a totally
Another
different
one, yeah.
dance. And the way you guys, and then you guys are like running backstage, quick change, and you're back
Oh
out
my
in there in
gosh,
2
yes.
seconds.
Yeah, she is unreal. Like working with her, I mean, I would love to work with her again. Mandy, I'm ready.
That's right. I mean, So You Think,
Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars, Dancing with Stars Junior.
Yeah, she literally is one of the most brilliant people I've ever had the privilege to work with. I mean, again, just the transitions and how everything flowed. And she has a personality to boot. I mean, she's the nicest person and like knows how to get things done, but in like the best way. So it's not
Yes.
just like work, but it's like fun work. So I just love her.
Yeah, she's really smart at what she does. And, it's funny because I always go, no one choreographs for the camera the way Mandy does. But then I go and watch the tour and I'm like, well, then no one choreographs like a tour the way Mandy
Right,
does either. She's got
right.
a director's eye that I think is
Yes.
very unique and
Yes.
great perspective. Did you have a little bit of tour depression when you came home? Because this is another thing that we've been touching upon. Some people feel like you're up here and you're every night and then you're like, oh, I'm back in LA and I got to audition and what's happening?
Yeah, you know what? I do experience that sometimes, even with Backstreet Boys, like, because we only go for certain amounts of time, 3-week periods. But especially when I came back from tour, I actually went home to Utah first because I had to move all my stuff out to LA. So I was just kind of waiting to move, and I just was like, oh my gosh, when's the right moment? When do I do this? Finally got out here, but same, I was like, my gosh, I have to go to auditions now. I have to like kind of climb my way back up, because you feel like when you're doing So You Think, you're like, oh yeah, this is it. And then you realize you're like, oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of other dancers out there that are doing the same thing as me, and they're just as talented, if not better. So yeah, you definitely kind of ride that roller coaster out here in LA, just because you never know when your next audition's going to be. You don't know when your next work job, or like when you're going to get paid. So it's kind of like finding that balance out here. It's crazy.
And I know a lot of people supplement their income, which is great that the conventions are out there, because you're like,
Thank
great.
goodness.
You're like, I don't have to worry. And there's nothing wrong with it, but it's hard work when you are trying to be a dancer and waiting tables at the same time.
Yeah.
Because emotionally, physically, you're spent.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So if you can go out there and still sort of stay in your craft and teach and dance, it's
Which is
a little bit better, I think.
I'm so grateful for that. I'm like, thank you, conventions, because I go out and assist, and I go out and teach. So it's just like, just great income, especially because you're still dancing. Like you said, you're staying in your craft and perfecting it. So
yeah, that's awesome. What was the first job that you booked post So You Think?
my first job I booked post So You Think was actually an industrial for Arbonne, the big like cosmetic.
Makeup, yes. We talked about industrials on the when Derek Mitchell was here, and I was like, I don't think we've really talked about it, but corporations will pay you good money. They don't come up as frequently as other jobs.
No.
However, when you book it, you're happy.
You're happy. I mean, because it's literally just a one-day job. Like, whether we went to Vegas, so we just flew into Vegas for one day and then flew out. And it was super fun because it was with a choreographer named David Moore, which I love because I grew up doing convention with him. So it was so cool that he booked me on my first job.
That's awesome.
And it was right when his bot bros were blowing up. So like they were on the hoverboards and then the girls were dancing.
I love that.
It was so fun. And we performed at the MGM in Vegas. And there was like 60,000 people there. So it was,
wow.
I mean, like mind blowing. Like I was
Massive.
like, oh my gosh. But it was so cool because I was like, wow, this is my first job. Like, so crazy. And I'm so thankful for him to like give me that opportunity because I was new. I went to that audition and I was like,
we'll see.
We'll see. And I
luck.
got the phone call. I actually got the phone call at a premiere. I was at a premiere with Neptune and Gabby. Oh gosh. High Strung.
I was there.
You were there.
I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, was it High Strung?
I know. I
Which,
was
by
like-
the way, they have the sequel
second-
coming out this
yeah.
year. So we're super excited for that.
Yeah, so I got the phone call right there and I was like,
You did. That's awesome.
yeah, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, you guys, I just booked my first job. And they were like, yay. So
Oh, that's so great.
yeah, it was fun. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then you're like, I think I can do this. I got it handled.
Yeah.
I think you really do need to book like that very first job to really feel like, okay.
Yeah, it's always the first one that's hard. You're like, okay, another audition.
And I'm
Like,
supposed to be here too.
yeah.
Because you worry sometimes. You're like, am I supposed to? And you question all the time, even when you're, yeah, is that you?
me all the time. I'm like, am I doing it right? Am I dancing right? Oh my gosh. Oh, all the questions. Ugh.
I love that though. But you know, you have a lot of great support. You know, we talked a little bit earlier
Mm-hmm.
about Kristyn McQuaid, and I saw you on set with Light the Sky, which was
Yeah.
last year, I think. Now
Everything blends.
Yeah, because she's now premiering. Actually, tomorrow she's premiering Florettes with yes, Grace Vanderwaal. She's like inspired by her music. This will be the trilogy. I actually have a photo if you can pull it up because it's the drone. The group photo. Go back one. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
I love this one because you're at the point of
Right
the
there I
pyramid and
am.
the drone is up there. I was talking about this with Kristyn and talking about your torn up feet, and everyone was sunburned, including myself.
Gosh, oh my
from being
gosh.
there. And I was hiding behind a bathtub on the roof with Kristyn so I wouldn't get in the shot.
Oh my gosh, that was crazy. I think I went through, actually, no, I had 3 pairs of socks on my feet and they just kept getting torn up. And when I came home, I mean, obviously took them off.
Were your feet black?
Black. And I was like, how did that happen? Just because I had so many layers on?
All the soot came through. And it was a great day because like Will Thomas was there. I think Audrey Casey was
Yeah.
there. Alexa was there.
Kayla, I think
Kayla
was
Radomski.
there.
Yep,
Yeah.
of course. Like a lot of fun So You Think faces. I think Moses was
Moses,
there. Yep.
yeah.
So it was really fun for me to just be like, oh, this is like a little
Yeah.
reunion. I love it. But you guys look for that because that's coming up tomorrow. I saw it. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's so good.
But I'm super excited. I mean, because Kayla is just she's just stunning. So.
You guys, if you love Kayla Radomski, she's such a beauty, but she's such a beautiful dancer. Like her soul, like you feel it through the screen.
Yes.
And there's something really special about this song with Grace and the way Kayla and Sam interpreted it together. So I think you guys are really going to like it. And I visited the set on one day that they were also shooting that. I was laughing because I'm like, oh, I was hiding behind those bushes.
Oh my gosh, when you were watching the video, you're like, there I am.
I'm always hiding somewhere on set. You can't ever see me, but I'm hiding.
You're there.
I'm there somewhere. I'm like, where's Waldo?
Oh my gosh, right.
And how long have you known Kristyn? Because I know that she did a lot of your solos.
Yeah.
But have you known her since you were little?
I actually met Kristyn. I assisted on a dance convention called Hollywood Connection. And she came out for one of the nationals that we do like during the summer where everyone comes out and you compete for like the national titles and stuff. And she came and guest taught. And it was so funny because at first I was like, oh my gosh, she does not like me. We are not going to be friends. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. And then during the banquet, because they have like a banquet where they announce like all the awards and stuff, she was like, can I come sit with you guys? Like, I want to just come sit with you. And like, that's where it happened. We literally connected and it was the best night ever. She is the funniest, sweetest, like most sarcastic person.
And she's wacky. You guys must like just gel. Like,
yeah, once I found out that she was like me, it was just like,
I love that.
Match made in heaven. I was like, oh, I like you. So
free to be yourselves with each other. I think is super important.
And it's so funny because I'm in rehearsals with her right now and we have a hard time focusing. I'm like, and it's Kayla too. So we're all just like,
yes. I want to say what she said to me yesterday. She said, it has been my dream to choreograph a duet for Hailee and Kayla. And she said, it's finally happening.
Yeah,
so
we're very excited.
I'm super excited. And I was like, are you submitting it? Are you submitting it? What are you doing? Because I want her to submit it for World of Dance season 3. I'm just throwing it. Would you do that if you're open to another dance competition show?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm all down for it.
All right. Because she and I were talking about it yesterday, and I said, this was another jazz conversation. I said, jazz needs to be represented on World of Dance. We really haven't seen that. And I was like,
there you go.
Got the ladies.
Let's do it. I'm in. Fun.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? It's coming up really soon too.
Oh yeah. Season 3, right?
Season 2 starts today, but it was already pre-taped. So they're doing season 3's coming in the winter.
Oh, work. Okay,
totally
back
crazy.
To back. Love that.
Yeah, they're doing back to back. So awesome. I want to make sure, because we've got about 20 minutes left, I want to talk about Backstreet.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think I get so many people in here and they say the dream is to work with an artist, do a world tour, Vegas residency. Yep. Can you take us through the process? Because I love that, there it is, larger than life Backstreet Boys. The process of auditioning, because these are usually very large auditions for the initial group coming together. How big was the Backstreet Boys?
You know what? It's hard to say just because...
Look at your little photo, too.
Oh, my gosh, I know. Number 44. Oh, I've changed so much in a year.
Check.
Oh, my gosh. Crazy. But it's hard to tell at the Backstreet Boy one just because they broke it off into individual time slots, which is... amazing. So you have like my call time was 9:30. So I got there at 9:30, I auditioned, and then I was done for the day. And then like a group came in at 11:30. So, but I would say just because even at the 9:30 call there was 100 people and there was like 5 calls, I'm gonna say probably like 500 people auditioned.
And I know some of these artists will just do it en masse, and there can be 300, 500 people in a room. Think about that and the odds of then booking the job.
Yeah. So it was crazy. But when we came back for callbacks the next day, that's when I was like, oh, there's still a lot of people here. There was probably still like 250 people there, give or take. So I was like, okay. I was like, oh, I'm just going to do my very bestest. And it's funny because when I initially got the call, I saw Vegas. I get nervous about Vegas because I don't want to get stuck there. That's the thing. I was like, I just got to LA. Like, I'm not ready to like make the move yet. And then they're like, oh, well, it's like J-Lo. And then I was like, yes, I'm there.
So that means that you have like a month on, month off, sometimes 2 months off. It varies. The same thing with J-Lo. So.
So we go in for callback and we had to do the choreography from the prior day, which is so fun though, because it was Backstreet's Back, the song.
Chuck Maldonado?
Yes, of course. And we were doing the original choreography, like with some twists. So like just to be able to do the choreography from the music video, I mean, like, dream come true.
I would love that.
So cool. So we start learning more choreography and, you know, just kept running it and running it and running it and cuts and cuts and cuts and cuts and cuts. And I ended up staying, which is amazing. Of course, I was working my tush off, but ended up staying. And then they started, grouping people together. And that's when you know that it's like, okay, they're going to start typecasting and they're going to start looking at who they need and where they want it. And what's funny is the first group of 10 people they pulled out are the people that booked the job.
I think I remember Teddy saying that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Teddy was in your group, and Ellis was in your group.
Yep. It was me, Teddy, Ellis, and then obviously everyone else who booked the job. So it's just crazy that it was just like, it took that one group for them to be like, okay, this is our cast. I mean, we kept doing it after that. I swear I did that audition combo 100 times that day. I was so beat. I was like, okay, you could do it.
Just one more time.
Because there's lots of jumping in it. And I was like, just get your feet off the ground. I was like, you can do it.
Breathe.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, too. And if you've never been in a casting room, oftentimes the players with producers, directors, casting director, choreographers, they don't necessarily know exactly what they're looking for. And then they'll know it when they see it.
Yep.
But then they will also second guess themselves.
Yes.
And that's why they have you do it again
and that's
again.
Exactly what happened, because we just kept switching in and out and in and out. And AJ, one of the band members, was
AJ
there.
McLean.
Yeah, AJ, love you, AJ. And then Rita and Raj, and then obviously Chuck and Nolan, and it was just crazy. And I actually have never had this happen in an audition before, but I was wearing red lipstick, obviously you saw in the photo, and they told me to take it off, which was the most bizarre thing. I was like, you want me to take off my, okay. And of course, that was the day I wore like my permanent lipstick, no makeup wipe. So I'm in the bathroom like, it won't come off.
Scrubbing, and it's like all over your cheeks at that point, because that's the only place you can get it.
So my mouth is just red. I probably looked like the Joker, but I come to find out, I was talking to AJ a couple months later, and he's like, yeah, we just needed you to take that off because when you were talking on camera, that's all we could look at. And I was like,
distracting, I guess.
I was like, I've never, because it's funny because I wear red lipstick for the show. So I was like, oh, but that was kind of like a weird thing. I've never had that happen at an audition before. So I was like,
and they usually tell you to wear like a bright, bold lipstick when you are auditioning, so you stand out, because otherwise your face does have a tendency to start looking washed out. So,
well, because you just start sweating and you're like,
sweating. It's the only thing you can keep on your face, honestly. Eye makeup will go, cheeks, everything's
so
gone.
It was really bizarre, but of course it turned out in my favor. I was like, thank goodness I got it off.
You're like, phew.
Yeah. But we went right into rehearsal after that. Like, we literally got the call that night, which was amazing, because sometimes you have to wait weeks and months.
Or you hear nothing.
Or it's nothing. But we found out that night, we had a day, and then we went right into rehearsal. So it was it was the best, like, sort of situation.
So who choreographed for you guys? Chuck did. I know he did some numbers.
Yeah, we had Chuck, Nolan Padilla, Trisha Miranda, JoJo Gomez, Jaquel Knight, and then Sharna Burgess.
Yep. So good.
Yeah. So
I love that, because she was obviously
Nick's partner.
Nick's straight off of So You Think, not So You Think You Can Dance, Dancing with the Stars. So many dance shows. I'm trying to keep up, people.
Right.
That's great. And so, how do they do contracts for you guys? Because this is kind of interesting. You had mentioned that it was just an initial kind of short contract.
Yeah, it was a short contract because the Backstreet Boys, they actually didn't really know how the show was going to do, or how, if they wanted to keep doing it, because I mean, they're like, well, we don't know.
They have families.
They have families, and they're getting up there in age. I mean, they're still kicking it. They are the bomb, most hardworking people I've ever seen in my entire life. But yeah, they have families, and they're like, well, we don't really know. But then, I mean, this is what they told us. There was like some sort of statistic that they gave us, and they said when Britney opened her show, in like the first month, she sold, I want to say like 10,000 tickets. When J-Lo opened her show, she sold 14,000. When Backstreet like announced they were doing their show opening, like they sold like 50,000 tickets, like
one for each of the guys, 10 for each. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because you're going to have your Nick fans, and you're going to have your AJ fans.
Yeah, so it was, the outcome has literally been more than what we could ever want. And so we, got extended, and we're going into this year. We have shows coming up in July. Come find us.
Yes, I know. I need to come out and see it. That'd be super fun.
Let me know.
I will.
Yes.
Okay, I'm totally in.
But so, and then we just do random like one-offs, like we're doing Wango Tango this weekend, and now with the new release of the song, we're going to be doing some things hopefully coming up with that. So yeah, it's just been
And you
incredible.
guys did a huge, I want to say music festival like up in Montreal or Quebec or somewhere around there, because that was like 100,000 people.
Bananas. The most people I've ever performed for, obviously, in my entire life. But the
Beats Arbonne.
oh my gosh, beats Arbonne. Sorry,
40,000 people more.
Sorry. No, it was incredible. I mean, just the roar of the audience. I mean, because we're outside, so obviously the music's going to be turned up and blasting this way. I could not even hardly hear the music. The crowd was so loud and just like yelling the lyrics. Like, it was the coolest experience I've ever had on stage, just because I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So I can only imagine like what like even Yoey's going through right now with Taylor Swift. I'm like,
Swift. Yes. That's amazing.
That's the next step. I'm like, all right.
You made it pretty close with Taylor,
Pretty
too.
close. I was pretty close. It came down to me and one other girl.
Oh.
It's okay. Taylor didn't like how I looked, so.
Did you get that feedback?
Well, kind of.
Sometimes you do. And it's just sometimes they're like, we wanted, sometimes they want you to dye your hair and you're like, I'll do it. But other times.
Literally, yeah. No, that's literally what happened. I ran into Tice randomly at one of our Christmas shows we were performing at with Backstreet, because Taylor was there. And he was like, Hailee, is that your natural color? And I was like, Tice, do you see my roots in my blonde hair? And he was like, all right, fine. And he's like, well, Taylor's having an audition. If, you might want to color your hair. And I was like, okay. I got the audition. I colored my hair brown the next day. I was like, yeah. Well, and thank goodness, because if I would have gone to the audition, I mean, Nadine, who's on the tour right now, she has blonde hair, but it's so long and just like her own unique style. I would have stuck out like a sore thumb. Everyone was brunette, and I was like, oh, this is a good thing. And it is, because I got right down to the end, and it did. It came down to me and another girl who was Asian, and she just happened to want that. So I was like,
that's the way it goes.
yeah, that's the way it goes. And you know what? I was sad for a second, but then I was like, you know what? Everything happens for a reason, and I moved on, and I was like, here I am. I'm still going. So
yeah, you do have to move on, because you can't get stuck.
No,
you can't. Yeah, you can't get stuck in this town of like thinking about the audition, what you could have done different. Because I'm going to say 99% of the time it has nothing to do with your dancing, because you were at the table with all the other people that are booking the job or almost booked the job. It came down to, we need 3 blondes, no blondes. We need someone taller, shorter. It's so. You can't grow, oftentimes you can't change your ethnicity, whatever it is.
You can't.
And that is the name of the game in this town, too.
And that's exactly it. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. And that's why you see a lot of people starting to move home, and like, they're like, because they think it's them. And I'm like, no, it's literally, that's just the industry we're in. Like, if you're not blonde that day, you're not going to book it. So yeah, it is. I find myself every once in a while, I'll get in that little path, that little rut, and I'm like, oh, but then I just have to.
You have to snap out of it.
Snap out of it. I usually call my mom, Mandy or Kristyn, and I'm like, I just need some advice. And they're like, girl, okay.
And you need that day. I always say you need the day sometimes to just mope on your couch, eat your potato chips or your ice cream, and then get up the next day and like make it happen. Because if you don't work hard in this town, there's too many people surpassing you, and you know what that generation behind you looks like. Oh my gosh,
that's what I'm saying. Literally taking all of my jobs. I'm like.
Too, and it's funny because Hollywood is paying attention to what's happening with the junior dancers, because we've seen So You Think do a junior edition, but Dancing with the Stars is doing junior. There's 50% of the contestants on World of Dance are juniors.
Wow.
There's another show I'll be telling you guys about soon that's coming up that's also junior based in competition. That is the main focus.
It is.
And I don't think So You Think is going to go back to under 18, but understand that sometimes these kids are feeding right from their junior show into So You Think. And doing what they can. So
exactly. So it's crazy.
They're chasing after all of us.
I know. I'm like, oh no.
Someone's gonna be gunning for my seat really soon.
No, it's gonna be me. No, I'm just kidding.
I know. Haley's like, move over, slide over. She's like, I got a junior dancer behind me, so I'm gonna take your spot.
I'm gonna take whatever. No, I'm not good at talking. I'd be like, well,
you're doing pretty well here. You're gonna be like
struggling.
You just never ever know.
Yeah, man. Oof. Crazy.
I know you want to book a world tour, because that just is like something on the radar and things
everything.
like that. It really is for the. I didn't realize like how still in 2018. Like I kind of thought that like the idea of a big world tour had kind of gone away with the Janet Jacksons and the Michael Jacksons and the big dance superstars that we had, but you know, they still exist because you've got the J-Los and you've got the Gwens and the Gagas.
They're still out there. Yeah, they're still out there.
Dream artists for you to go on tour with?
I mean, I've literally said this since day one. Lady Gaga, everyone knows. I'm like, girl, I'm trying, and she's going to Vegas, so hopefully I'm like trying to get my way in there. I've been going to not conventions, but workshops with Richie Jackson, who is her choreographer. So I'm just.
Have you talked to Kevin Fry about like?
Of course I have. I'm like, Kevin.
Yes.
I'm like,
he has all the pointers. He knows.
I know. I'm like, I've been talking to Kevin. I've been talking to Ian. Asiel's out with Shania right now, so I haven't gotten a chance to talk to him. But like Sloan and Montana, I've been trying to like make my way in there. And Caroline, just like talking to them and being like, okay, like, what do I need to do? So
what does she like? There's sometimes there's preferences and things
and
like
that's
that.
exactly it. So I've been talking with my agents too, and they know. So just kind of waiting for that right moment, and I keep putting it out in the universe. So hopefully one day it's gonna happen. But if not, you know, we're gonna try and do the next best thing. I mean, Pink. I would love to do Pink too. I love Pink. But she's obviously out right now, so I'm like, I'll have to wait
for the next tour. I think, but she's someone that tours pretty frequently.
Yeah. So we'll see. But that's something I was actually talking about with Teddy and my friend Lindsay, who does Backstreet with me. We were talking about that a little bit. It's harder nowadays though, because we don't have a Britney. I mean,
she's in Vegas. She's going back to Vegas.
She's going back to Vegas. Janet is kind of like, she's doing her thing, but she already has her dancers. There's not really like that pop star that screams world tour, whereas, you know, in the early like 90s and like 2000s, that was all it was. World tours, big, flashy dancers, and it's just not happening as much. So that's what everyone's feeling in the community right now, even work-wise. It's hard right now. A lot of dancers were struggling, and it's funny because Travis actually held an audition the other day.
For Shaping Sound?
No, for a Netflix show that's going to be coming out. Yep. And it was very last minute. Like, we got the audition, you know, like the day of, and we all show up, and he's like, oh my gosh, I didn't think it was going to be this big last minute. And I was like, Travis, we're all trying to work. There's no work.
There's no work in town, which seems insane
because there's so much dance.
There's so much dance, but it's competition based.
Yes.
And if you're not on the competition show.
Yeah.
And remember, season 2 of World of Dance was already filmed January, February, March. Everyone else is like, they're out there.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's for commercial dancers in LA going through like agents and stuff. If you're not on that direct book list with that certain choreographer, it's hard to get in that little niche. It's hard to get in there. So what I'm doing is I'm just keeping in good contact with, you know, with everyone, just making sure I'm in class, being the very best person I can be, because that plays a lot into it as well, just being a good person, because Brian is doing this mob show in Vegas, and
Brian Friedman.
Yeah, Brian Friedman.
Just so everyone knows. We're just like name dropping.
I know, I'm like, sorry.
I'm like Brian Friedman.
But people have cut out of his show, and now he's like, well, those people will never work.
That's right. Reputation is everything in this town.
I'm just, you know, doing what I do best, and I'm just kind of being myself and going to class and doing what I can. And
you know, a lot of people don't go to class, so there's that.
Right.
And you know, being accountable for your work and your reputation really means a lot, and networking is everything in this town.
Yes, networking. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get my hands in every little bowl I can.
Little cookie jar. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Choreography on the horizon for you? Do you think you want to be a choreographer or director? Or?
I mean, I would love to. Right now, like I said, I'm teaching on convention, which really like fills my soul, because I love teaching the kids and like seeing them actually like grasp what I'm trying to teach them.
Teach them those progressions.
Yeah, no, totally. One of my favorite moments of this year is I was teaching a mini class, and I was teaching the Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, which of course is like one of my favorite
November,
bands.
the movie comes out.
I just saw the preview.
Ready.
I was like,
so good.
ooh. But they had to hold 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go 5, 6, 7, 8, and they struggled counting that music. So every time they would not go on 5, we would start again. And by the end of the class, to see every mini in that room go 5, I was just like, hallelujah. But as far as choreography, I mean, I would love to see myself doing it one day. I just got to be more confident in myself. That is one thing I will say. I'm always like, is it good enough? For choreography, which is so strange, because Mandy and Kristyn are like, Hailee, like,
You have an eye for it, yeah.
You're good. You have an eye for it. And I'm like, I just don't know. So maybe one day I just got to keep building myself up and working on it. But I would love to. We'll have to see what happens.
We'll have to see what's next.
Yeah.
The hour's up, believe it or not. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
It goes by so
Oh,
quickly every week. I
man.
know. The good news is I'm going to see you tomorrow night.
Yeah.
At the red
At
carpet.
the red carpet.
Super excited. You guys look for Florets.
Yes.
Grace Vanderwall. Music inspired. Kristen. Grace is not in it, but it's Kayla Radomski.
Yes. Kayla Radomski. And I think I make a preview somewhere. I'm like,
Ooh.
I might. I'm like, Kristen said I did, so we'll see.
I love that. And we'll be seeing you at Vegas.
Yes.
Backstreet Boys.
Come to Vegas. I'm ready.
I love that. So good. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad this finally worked out.
I know, finally.
Where can everyone find you online?
Ooh, find me at Hailee_Payne, and that goes for everything. I mean,
Super easy.
Yeah, easy peasy.
I love that. All right, guys, just a couple notes. Let me see. First of all, as you guys know, Hailee Erbert next week. Hailee and Hailee back to back. It is a pre-taped episode just for transparency, so you guys know. Also, I will be doing World of Dance after show tonight, starting tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific time. So I'll be moderating that panel. And of course, for all of your latest dance news, visit dancenetwork.tv. We appreciate Popcorn Talk hosting us, and we'll see you guys all next week. You'll see the virtual me. We taped it last week. The virtual me. I'll be in Washington, D.C.
Love.
Have a great week, you guys.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only, and not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.